Have you ever discovered something that completely changed how you saw your family? The moment when you realized the people closest to you weren't who you thought they were. My name is Richard. For 37 years, I built a life I thought my family would be proud of. I worked 60-hour weeks at an engineering firm, missing baseball games and dance recitals. Also, my wife, Camilla, and our 3 kids could have everything they wanted. A nice house in the suburbs, private school, family vacations. I thought I was being the provider they needed. When I finally retired at 62, I was excited. I imagined Sunday dinners, helping with grandkids someday, finally being the father I never had time to be. That dream lasted exactly 3 weeks. The first sign something was wrong came when I showed up at my oldest son Malik's apartment unannounced. I'd brought his favorite sandwich from a deli we used to go to when he was 12. He opened the door, saw me standing there with the bag, and his face just fell. "Dad, you can't just show up like this," he said. I laughed it off. "Come on, son. I'm retired now. We can hang out more." He didn't invite me in. Instead, he stepped outside and closed the door behind him. "Look, I need to be honest with you. We've been talking, me, Zara, and Tobias. We think you need to find some hobbies or something. Make friends your own age." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What are you talking about?" "You're being clingy. It's weird. We're adults now. We have our own lives." I stood there, holding that stupid sandwich, feeling smaller than I'd ever felt in my life. "I just wanted to spend time with you." "Well, we don't want to spend time with you." The sandwich fell from my hands. Malik went back inside without another word, and I heard the lock click behind him. Over the next few days, I reached out to Zara and Tobias. Same response. They'd formed some kind of united front against me. Zara was more diplomatic, saying we all agreed I needed to develop my own interests and stop hovering. Tobias was blunt, told me I was being pathetic and needed to get a life. The final blow came when Camilla sat me down and delivered what felt like a prepared speech. "Richard, the kids are right. You're suffocating them. You need to back off and give them space to be adults." "I'm their father," I said, my voice breaking. "I worked my whole life for this family. And now it's time to work on yourself." That's when she dropped the real bomb. She wanted a trial separation. She said she needed time to figure out who she was outside of being married to me. She'd already found an apartment across town. Within 2 months, I went from having a family to being completely alone. My wife moved out. My children wouldn't return my calls. When I tried visiting them, they made it clear I wasn't welcome. I fell into the darkest period of my life. Some days I didn't get out of bed. I'd worked so hard to provide for them, to be the stable foundation they could build their lives on. And the moment I tried to actually be a part of those lives, they threw me away like garbage. But then something interesting happened. I was going through old paperwork, trying to organize my finances for the separation, when I found a folder I'd forgotten about. Inside were the property documents for a house I'd bought 12 years ago as an investment property. The address looked familiar, very familiar. I drove to the house, and there it was. The cute little craftsman bungalow where Malik and his girlfriend Nia had been living for the past 2 years. The same house where he'd refused to let me inside. The same house I owned. I sat in my car across the street, staring at the property I'd completely forgotten I'd purchased. When the housing market crashed in 2012, I'd bought it at a foreclosure auction for cash, thinking it would be a good rental investment. But then Malik graduated college and was struggling to find affordable housing, so I just let him live there, never charged rent, never even told him I owned it. I just said I'd heard about the place through a friend who knew the landlord. My son had been living rent-free in a house I owned while telling me I was pathetic and needed to get a life. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became, not just about the house, but about everything. How they'd all ganged up on me the moment I tried to be present in their lives. How they'd made me feel like some kind of stalker for wanting a relationship with my own children. I started digging deeper into their lives. Social media, public records, anything I could find. What I discovered made my blood boil. Zara was living in a downtown condo that I'd co-signed for when she started her marketing job. She told everyone she was this independent career woman, but she couldn't have gotten that place without my credit backing her up. Tobias was driving a car I'd bought him for graduation, still on my insurance, still using my Amazon Prime account, my Netflix, my Spotify family plan. They wanted me out of their lives, but they were perfectly happy to keep all the benefits of having me as a father. That's when I made my decision. I called my lawyer, Elena Vasquez, and asked her to draft eviction notices. Malik had 30 days to vacate the property I owned. I called the bank and removed myself as co-signer on Zara's condo loan. I canceled all the family plans and accounts Tobias was using. If they wanted to be independent adults who didn't need their father in their lives, they could prove it. The first call came from Malik 3 days later. His voice was panicked. "Dad, I got this crazy letter saying I have to move out. There must be some mistake." "No mistake," I said calmly. "I own the house you're living in. You told me to get a life and stop bothering you, so I'm getting a life that doesn't include supporting ungrateful children." The silence on the other end was deafening. "You own my house? I've owned it for 12 years, been letting you live there for free while you told me I was pathetic." Within an hour, all 3 of my children were calling. Suddenly they wanted to talk. Suddenly they had time for dear old Dad. Zara was crying about how she couldn't afford her rent without the cosigner. Tobias was furious about losing his car insurance and streaming accounts. Malik was begging me to let him stay, promising he'd pay rent, promising things would be different. But it was too late for promises. I had spent 37 years being the father they needed, and the moment I needed them to be the children I deserved, they'd abandoned me without a second thought. Now they wanted back in my life because they realized how much they'd been using me. Camilla even called, accusing me of being vindictive and manipulative. "This isn't who you are, Richard." "No," I told her. "This is exactly who I am. I'm someone who knows his worth, and I'm worth more than being treated like an ATM by my own family." The eviction went through. Malik had to move back in with Camilla in her tiny apartment. Zara lost her condo and had to get roommates in a place she could actually afford. Tobias had to get his own car insurance and pay for his own subscriptions. For the first few months, they kept trying to contact me. Angry calls, then pleading calls, then attempts at guilt trips. They'd show up at my house demanding I explain myself, demanding I fix what I'd broken. But I wasn't the one who broke our family. They did that the day they decided I wasn't worth their time. It's been 8 months now since I cut them off financially. I've heard through mutual friends that they're all struggling, but managing. Malik got promoted at his job. Zara started her own consulting business. Tobias moved in with his girlfriend and seems happy. They're learning to be truly independent, which is what they claimed they wanted all along. As for me, I'm learning to be independent too. I travel now. I took a woodworking class. I volunteer at the animal shelter. I'm dating a wonderful woman named Patricia, who appreciates having me in her life. Sometimes I wonder if I was too harsh, if there was another way to handle things. But then I remember how it felt to be thrown away by the people I'd sacrificed everything for. And I know I made the right choice. My children wanted me to disappear from their lives. I just helped them get what they wanted. The house Malik used to live in? I sold it. Used the money for a month-long trip to Italy. It was beautiful. They taught me that blood doesn't make you family. Respect does. And if they ever learn that lesson, maybe someday we can have a real relationship. But it'll be on terms where I'm valued, not just used. I'm not the same man who stood on his son's doorstep holding a sandwich begging for attention. I'm someone who knows his worth now, and that's worth more than all the guilt trips in the world.